Alright, we're going to work on putting carpet in this thing. So, custom carpet. So this is what we get to work with right now. Alright, started off by cutting a little bit of jute here. I forget what this is. Ounce. This stuff's a little bit thinner. That stuff's a little bit thicker back there. So we'll see how this looks in there. Alright, there's that piece laid in there. So, passenger footwell. I'm going to go in there and kind of take a Sharpie and kind of mark it up and then trim it up so it lays nice and flat. There we go, just trace the pattern on there. I'll cut around them edges and then we'll lay it back in there and see how it looks. Alright, so that's how it's looking. I'll probably do a thicker piece right over top of that and bring it back to this edge right here, to this recess, kind of lay it all in there. We'll see how that looks. Oh, here's that thicker piece laid in there. I just kind of went right up to the front footwell, butted up against that seam there, brought it all the way back here. We'll trim it out. Now we'll draw it and trim it out. Alright, there we go. Got that drawn out. I'm going to cut that down, set it in there, see how she looks. Alright, we got that front one looking pretty good. Now we can probably come back here and work in this little well back behind it. It's actually a piece of scrap from the front, so I'm going to trim that off, see how that fits in there. Alright, that fit down in there real nice. Now what I'll probably do is run one full piece from the front up there all the way through the center section over top of this back one, and then that'll probably be good for this side. Alright, that's actually not looking too bad. Check that out. Laying in there pretty nice. I'll try and trim that up a little bit. Alright, got some marks on there. Come back and trim her up. So these are two seat bolt holes right there. So I'll trim that out so that Jeep doesn't wrap the bolts up. Woo-wee! It's looking good. Check that out. Man, that looks real nice. So really, I think just glue that down and this side will be sitting pretty. Alright, over on the driver's side, get this one marked up and trimmed out. This is the thin stuff. Alright, driver's side floorboard drawn out. Now we got to trim it out. Alright, there's the driver's side. First pad in. Now we're going to do a thicker pad all the way back to here. And we'll go right up to the front edge here. So let's get that going. Alright. Got a little sloppy on drawing this one out. I came across the main edge and I meant to come back here. So but that's okay, I haven't cut anything yet. So I just got a marker line on it. That's all, no big deal. So let's trim it out. Alright, that's all looking pretty good. I cut that bottom one back just a little bit so this would lay over real nice and flat. Like it's not completely flat, still on kind of a radius there, but it went a lot more flat than it was. So I think it kind of matches the contour, and I think there'll be plenty of room for the carpet. And we got one more layer to put on top. So let's come back here, throw that extra piece back here in the back, cut it out. All right, there's that back little piece right there. Now I just need to do a top piece like we got over there, and just drape it over the whole thing, and bring it back to the back just like that other one. There we go, a little piece on the hump. Alright, got most of the hump laid in. It's looking pretty good. I definitely got one more big piece to lay over here, and then I could probably piece in some up here in the front around the transmission hump up here. And then really after that I could tack all this down. Alright, I had enough the thicker jute to just do this side. So this side just going to be a little thicker than the other side. I don't think it's enough difference to really go about waiting and ordering some more material. So I got it pretty much in here. And then there's this side. It's looking good. We got it all juted up. Now we can pattern, make some carpet, bind it up, and glue that down. Alright, we're out here getting ready to glue this jute in. I got some plastic laid out the wind's kind of blowing. It's pretty humid out today too, so it's going to take a little while to evaporate some solvents out of the glue. But I got the jute piles laid out here, passenger side, driver side, and then the center hump. And then I got a right there's a new paint gun I'm going to try for gluing. So it's actually a 2.0 orifice on the front of this, which is really what you need for that real thick glue. For years I've only used a like a 1.4, I think, so, and it really did fine. But I found this, and these guns don't last long when you're using that real heavy glue. I'm gonna try and clean this thing out. The nice thing about it is the container is using the disposable paint cup system. So you fill the little plastic thin cup with the glue, then it's gravity fed, so you flip it upside down, it goes on top of the gun, and then when you're done, you keep the hard plastic there, but you throw the thin plastic away with the lid, and it's just disposable. And then you clean the gun out. So we're gonna try that and see how it works. I'm not sure what to expect on longevity on this thing. I honestly don't think the paint gun will last real long, but they never did, unless you're using it all the time in your shop that's got high production and you're at least using it a couple times a week. It's hard to keep these paint guns working. So looks like we still got a little bit of liquid sneaking in over here on the side, so that's kind of a bummer because we're about to glue some jute down. See that liquid right there? It looks like it came in from the side over here. So I wonder, oh, I see where that's coming from. The antenna hole right there. There's my finger coming out, if you could see it in the antenna. There's just a giant hole right there, so we need to put a grommet in there, or yeah, maybe a grommet and some silicone sealant, seal that up. That rainwater just comes down and falls right in that hole, it looks like. This is what's happened. And then it pours down in here and then down into the floor. So we're all dry everywhere else, so we just got to seal up where that antenna wire comes through. But I'll dry this up and then we'll get gluing. Alright, been playing with the adjustments on this thing. It's spraying, so we just got to play. There's a lot of different adjustments on here. How much glue's coming through, how much air's coming through. As you can see back here, I don't need to really crazy hammer glue this down. I mean, gravity's going to hold it down mostly. But you can see where all that yellow glue's applied there. And then here's these ones waiting to go. And then here's the two I just prepped on the passenger side. So now let's go over to the driver's side here and spray the floorboards here. And then having controls a lot of the key. Don't want to paint everything with glue. So right here's the back floorboard, so we're going to lay it in here. There we go. That's all there is to it. I'm going to go make sure the compressor's on because I haven't heard it kick on yet. We've used a lot of air. Alright, there we go. I got this glued in down here. I said be real careful around the pedals or whatever, but you can see I didn't even tape anything off. It's got pretty good control, so you just gotta be careful. Take your time. Alright, here we go. We're gonna spray these backs of the jute. There we go. Now we just gotta let it set up, and then we're probably ready on the passenger side to start laying them in. There we go, laid that rear one right in. It's kind of hard for me to film while I'm doing it, but because you don't want it to grab before you're ready. But yeah, just kind of use both hands, take your time, get it laid in there. All right, there we go. Got the front one down. So again, it doesn't need to be hammered down. You just don't want lifting up while you're trying to do other stuff or slide underneath the carpet and balling up. All right, now we got the middle front pad ready to go. See the glue in here. And over there. I already went through 1 cup of adhesive. So there's passenger side, driver's side. So we'll start putting that in. All right, there we go. Got them laid in. Middle pads on the front, both sides. So something to keep in mind when you're doing it. As long as you don't press down real hard, if the solvent's mostly out of it and it's mostly dry, when you lay it on there, it'll kind of grab and be a little grippy, but you can pick it up and kind of move it around, play around with it to get it exactly where you want it. And then once you got it where you want it, then you put some pressure on it and just press it down. So this will be a little trickier. I might get some tape out and tape up like around the shift cable and just some things I don't want to get glue on. All right, there we go. Just basically where you don't want glue on. I want that on some tape. It's not perfect. You can see we have some overspray. A little bit around the edges. It's not perfect accuracy on that glue slinging out of there. So up here, I'm gonna know it's gonna be real tight to get a gun in a certain position. So I'm just gonna be kind of slinging some glue up there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tape all that stuff off up there that I don't want glue on. Those are the holes where the shifter go through. So all right, with that, let's glue this console down, and then we'll throw our pieces out and we'll glue the backs of the pieces that go along the console and we'll get that filled in. There's our console pieces working from front to back. Just laid out here on the plastic. Glue's got to come from this side. Move this over a little bit. Tighten it up. All right, we got console basically glued up here. So that's how she turned out. And we got the corresponding jute over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what I'm gonna do now is pull the tape. I think this console's tacked up pretty good. I'm gonna pull the tape off so we don't trap the tape in between the jute and the floor. There we go, got the bulk of the tape off. I left the pedal and the heat vent down there taped up just because I'm going to be spraying some more down here. All right, let's start grabbing pieces and work our way down. All right, there we go. Got the jute glued down. So we already put hush mat underneath, so that's on the bottom. But now we got this jute going in, and so this should really help insulate both some heat and noise. The piecing it in, so why piece in that center console hump? Basically, one is to use as much yield of the material as we can, so you try and get one big piece out of there. It'd be kind of tricky. And then patterning too, because there's so many contours as that comes through, trying to get one piece and get it to contour like that, it seems easier to just do some little sections, and then you can get the flares and the contours and the wraps and everything to match a little better with the little pieces and just kind of button them up against each other. Once it's all glued in, I mean, it looks like one big piece, and that carpet's thick enough that you're not going to see those little spaces where they join up. Awesome. Now what we're going to do is get these side top pieces in. I'll finish out this jute. So I'll probably work one side and then work the other. Here we go. Alright, we got it glued. We got both sides. And then we're using a lot of air. I'm surprised that little compressor kept up, but we did good. So there's the passenger side, and there's the driver's side. Top layer of jute. This is the final piece. We're kind of racing weather here. It's supposed to rain today. It's the day of the Dayton Air Show, so Sunday of the Dayton Air Show this year, and kind of gonna put a damper on their show, I think. But it's not supposed to be here until this afternoon, so I thought I'd get out here and get this going this morning. But it looks like it's creeping up on me maybe a little bit sooner, so we'll see. But we should be able to get this in here and finish out the jute. I'd like to start patterning out carpet next, So, but this thing's coming together good. All I gotta do is peel that few pieces of tape up where I taped the bolt holes so we didn't get glued down in the threads. So on both sides. And then this thing should be about tacked up and we'll lay it in. All right, done, we got it. So all the layers of jute are in, glued down. I think it turned out pretty good. Next step, start laying some patterns down for the carpet. The nice thing about this jute too is you could really isolate where your bolt holes are that you're using. And so, like, we got a bench seat in this thing, so you'll see there's 2 bolt holes on that side, 2 over here, and then we got 1 on each side. Got the hump here for the seat belt, for the inside seat belt, and then we got 1 back here for the outside seat belt. And you can see over there, there's actually 2 holes in the floor right there. I originally cut the wrong one out. We test fitted the seat, found out it was actually back farther. So I just patched in a little more jute back there so we don't get confused in the future. And then all these up here for the shifter mount. So that's what goes there. So yeah, it gives you an opportunity to really kind of cover anything up that's unnecessary as you get into the next step. But you definitely want to cut around the bolt holes a pretty good margin, because once you get the carpet on there and then you start cutting a smaller hole in the carpet, you start going through, you don't want this jute getting all caught up in the bolts or any screws that go through there, because they will it'll just wad it all up. It'll start wrapping around the bolt or the screw, and it'll be a pain in the butt. Awesome, it's just now starting to drizzle a little bit. We can look up on the windshield, see some raindrops. Just now starting to rain a little bit. So it's good timing, we got her in. Excited. All right, here's what this looks like when you're all done. So I got the cup, and I got the insert. I already took the ring off of it. We pull it out, and then this is just trash. That's where all your glue's at. That cup's perfectly clean. So we'll just throw this thing straight in the trash. All right, now I just filled the gun up with lacquer thinner. That's all that is. So come over here by the light post. Let some drain through. You can see some glue chunks coming out. So we'll get that down in the gun. See, it's pushing out some glue chunks. Let that soften everything up, and then we'll get some paper out here and we'll spray out of it for a little while, get it all cleaned up, and then the hope is that we can come back to it and it'll be ready to shoot again. Some of that thick glue. All right, got a little bit of time before it rains here, so I'm laying out the carpet right here. So I got my big piece of carpet. This just from Menards. So I got gray loop pile. I thought it would maybe look a little nicer than just going with all black everywhere. So I'm kind of measuring this out. So width on this stuff, I think it was 89. There we go. Width on it's pretty much 89. And it's a pretty long piece. This was remnant, so I didn't buy this particularly off the big roll. I just found a remnant piece up there. So width wise, I kind of measured across the car. Obviously we got some big valleys that's going to fall down in. We'll add some heat and get it fall down in there. But the width of the cars for the carpet section says 54, and then obviously we got several inches to drop down in there, but more than enough for that 89. And then what I measured was from the footwell is 12 inches, and then if we come from there back, I think I got roughly like 72. So there we go. It's like a little less than 60. Then you add the 12 inches up in the footwell, so that gets us roughly 72. So I was gonna measure this carpet out, give us a little bit extra length just for all those valleys. So right now what I'm setting up is to cut this roll down to lengthwise 80 inches, and then widthwise I'm gonna cut it into 3 pieces. I'll have the center console basically over that center hump, and then I'll have the driver's side and the passenger side. I'm just gonna get roughing this in. I originally thought about doing patterns, but I don't know, I might just try and throw a chunk in there that's oversized and start trimming it down. We'll see how that goes. There we go, we got her cut. So that's about 80 by 89 piece there. And then we still got a chunk over here just in case we need some extra. So now what we're gonna do is cut the width down, and we'll measure what we think we need. Plenty oversized for each section. All right, here we go. It looks like the widest point is really gonna be right across here, across the center. And if I go right to the hump over to here, we get 22 inches. And it's got a little bit of depth and contour to it. So I'll probably go 26-inch width on a piece of carpet right here. We'll go 26 wide, and we got 80 long, which would be more than enough length. And then we'll just get in here and start heating and trimming it and seeing if we can't get to fall in there. All right, there we go. Threw down a stripe. We can kind of see the percentage of the piece that we're taking up with this 26-inch. So right down the center of that tape line right there, if I cut that down, I'll have a 26-inch wide by 80 piece. Let's get that done. All right, there we go. She's separated. We'll lay it in there and see how it looks. All right, we got to lay it in here. Got plenty of length, plenty of width, but we're getting closer. So now what I'm gonna do is just start coming in here and trimming it up, seeing if we can get to lay down in there real nice. And it's a warm day today, so it should help with kind of molding and softening it up. We may end up needing to make some areas with some darts on it. We'll see. All right, here's what we're looking like right now. Got it trimmed pretty good, coming along the side. And then I got her trimmed to kind of where the back breaks over. And then it's still long on the inside. And I had to cut a dart up here in this front corner, because where that carpet kind of comes together to a point down here where my finger is, I basically just cut this back. And then what we'll do is we'll come across and trim this back so it's not riding so high up on the center, because the center is going to come over and overlap down on the side, and then we're going to have a nice sewn binding on the edge. All right, there's the back side of the dart. So basically flip this over. I came over about maybe 3/4 of an inch from where they overlap right up here, and then went short of the point about the same, and then I'll cut this corner out right here, and then that'll be right there on the sewing machine. Stitch that together. There we go, got that wedge cut out of there, and we can see how that's laying real nice now. So now what we gotta do is come and trim down, figure out where we want to come up to on the side there, how far up we want to come. We'll make sure there's plenty of coverage, but then we don't want to go up too high so we can overlap that console right up to it. So let's start looking at that. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with how this is looking right now. So we ended up putting another little dart right here. You can see it where it kind of dips down to this back wheel footwell. It was puckering up a little bit on us right here. So I might trim a little more around that seat belt hole just so it doesn't hold up our seat belt bracket. Yeah, all this is looking really good. So it's coming together really nice. All right, there we go. This side's in. Little half moon around that to give us plenty of room, and then I cut out these holes, seat belt retractor over here, and then the 2 seat bolts. One right there, one right there. Got plenty of room to get on there. The seat bracket should mostly cover that. So that's looking good. So I think we're set to move over to the second side. Moving right along. All right, getting ready to cut the driver's side piece out. 26 inches. All right, cut this one out with the razor knife instead of scissors. So there's the driver's side. We're gonna set it in there and start trimming it up. But yeah, we're looking pretty good. Now we just gotta get in here and start kind of trimming up. Take our time. Make this look nice like the other side. All right, I got this edge looking pretty good over here, right up against the sill. And then I got the dimmer switch hole cut. Dimmer switch sitting out, and I got this lined up pretty good on the edge, right along there. So we'll just keep on trimming. She's coming together. All right, we got the dart up here by the gas pedal done. So it's darted right there. That's all laying pretty flat for the most part. We got the back edge cut. It's pretty close. We might trim it up just a little more. It might be, I was a little shy to go too short. I think last time it went maybe a little short. But we can probably trim that back just a little more. And then we got coming here on the console side and mark that and cut that down. All right, there we go. I got trimmed up on the center side, and I trimmed up the back a little bit. This is laying in here real nice now. And so I just got to do a half moon around the seat belt bolt over there, cut out these bolts for the seat and seat belt retractor over here. And I think this driver's side is going to be ready. All right, got this side and the lighting's kind of goofy. But what I end up doing is coming here, I just flush cut this because I'm going to glue this carpet down. And so instead of trying to stitch and get this overlap, and this carpet's so thick, I just cut it to where it lays flat up against itself in that dart, and then we'll just glue that down. That was this light right there coming in somewhere. There we go. So yeah, right like that, laying nice and flat. And then same thing back here, it's just laying nice and flat where I made that dart. And then we got the holes cut out, seat belt back here, back seat mount, front seat mount, and then wires run right up under or over top of it. So this is looking pretty good. So I got both driver's side and passenger side laid in. All right, now it's gonna be time to mess with this console, basically transmission drive shaft hump. So I'm gonna try and shoot. I did a bunch of little pieces on the jute to get it to lie nice and flat and use as much material as possible. But on the carpet, it's gonna be, we're gonna try and shoot this in there as one piece. We'll see how it goes. And then overlap, come over top of the passenger and driver's side carpet. And then we'll try and come in there with a real nice clean sweep along the edge, and then we'll sew some binding on that edge and it'll just overlap. So let's get measured and see what kind of width we might need, so we're not got too much material in here we're working with. And then we'll start laying it in there, doing the same thing, taking our time, trimming it out. All right, I measured that center console up in the front's about the widest point it's going to be, and I got probably closer to 18 inches, but I'm cutting this thing to 22 because we want some overhang. So 22-inch width here, full 80 inches long. We'll lay it on there and then start trimming. All right, there we go. Got it cut 22 inches wide. Let's get it laid in there. All right, got her laid in here. So we can see I can punch the cable through, cut a little hole where that cable's coming through, the shift cable. And then we'll come up here and start trimming this thing out. All right, got this side trimmed down pretty good. So if we hold this down, we can see it comes down and marries up real nice with the floor contour all the way to the back. So that side's looking pretty good. Now we just gotta go to the other side and trim it out. All right, I got it. There it is. It's all cut in. You hear thunder in the background. I was definitely rushing being able to get this in. So it's got real nice contours here, I think, on both sides. And when we tack that all down, I think it's gonna look good, and get the binding on there. It's gonna look clean. All right, this is this side. Same thing, kind of pull it down. It's pretty tight up at the top just because it's a lot higher up at the top. And then it gets a little low down here and then comes back up. But I think it gets heated up and time to relax, so I think it'll be looking good. All right, here we go. I got some binding down here. I got my sewing machine set up. And you kind of see, did some practice runs here. Getting some edge binding on here, 3/4 inch. It's actually 1.5 inches, and it folds over about halfway. But with the thickness, it's probably a little closer to 1/2 inch around there. So that's what it's gonna look like. Here's the piece I'm gonna be working with. I'll clean up this edge a little bit right here. And then we'll get ready to throw some binding on this dude. All right, there we go. I got the first, I'll turn this light on. Got the first, this is the front edge. Runs up underneath the dash. So I got that edge binded. So it feels pretty tight. So now we're gonna do the other end, and then we'll do the sides. All right, there's the back side. Binding looks pretty good. All right, another beautiful day in America. So we're getting ready to glue this carpet in. So it's been about a week. It's Friday. I did the rest last weekend. So I got the carpet pieces laid out here. And then got my plastic set up over there for gluing. And then we got the car looking pretty good in here. So I was just finishing up some wiring stuff under the dash. Just getting things cleaned up and tidied up. So that you can see I got the wires nice and tidied up under here. So no wires anymore hanging underneath the footwells. So I'll get these supplies over here cleaned up. And we'll get the glue gun loaded up with some glue. And we'll start layering in these carpet panels. Okay, the system's been working pretty good with the disposable cups. So one thing I did want to point out is that the lids have a real fine screen on them to filter out any debris in the paint, because obviously it's normally for paint. We don't need that filter in there. In fact, that filter would keep the glue from coming through, so we cut that out. So I'm gonna use a straight razor blade here and just right around the edge and cut that out. I can't show you on video because I can't do both at the same time, hold the camera and cut it, but I'll show you here. All right, so I just rode the razor blade along this edge, and you can see, ta-da, now that filter's out of there. And so now it's wide open, that glue can just free flow right on down. All right, there we go. Got the cup filled up. We're ready to go. Add it to the gun, and then we can start shooting. All right, spraying that one side, the passenger side, took pretty much the whole cup. So there's a little bit left in there, but it definitely takes a lot of glue. So I got the both the jute sprayed and the back of the carpet, so I'll show you that now. All right, passenger side. I taped up the back there just so I didn't have a bunch of overspray. And then glued it all the way through. Lighting's kind of tough under here, but kind of covered the heater box too, so I didn't get any overspray on that. But the gun's pretty accurate, so I don't think I would have hit it anyways. But we got that all laid up with glue on the passenger side. It's a little breezy out here, but there's the carpet piece for the passenger side. We're gonna let this tack up real good, and then we'll toss it in there, get it situated, get it in the right spot, and then start pressing it down, get it stuck real good. All right, I got the passenger side piece of carpet down, so she's glued down, following all the contours all the way up. I'm not gonna remove that tape up there just yet until I get the center console done, but that's how she's looking. So she's laid down real nice, follows all the contours real good. Got all access to my bolt holes, so everything lined up real nice. All right, I got the driver's side glued down. Let's check it out. Or I got it glued. No, it's not down yet. So I got the driver's side glued, and then got this panel going. So I'm just letting it get solvents dried out of it, and then we'll get it placed down. All right, we got the driver's side glued down. Let's check it out. There we go. All our bolt holes are lined up. And then we got our dimmer. Now the last piece will be a little more tricky. We're going to tape off a bunch of this carpet on the sides because we don't want to get any overspray glue on that. We're getting there. One more piece. All right, I'm taped for the center console section. So there we go. We're ready to glue down the center section. All right, I got this all taped off pretty good. So I went real wide around the edges because I want to make sure I didn't get any glue on the new carpet. And so now we'll come in here, glue this out, then we'll glue this center section piece of carpet over here, and then we'll let it tack up, and then we'll be ready to set it down. All right, I got this center section glued up. Let's take a look here. There we go. Here's a look from the driver's side. And then over here is a piece of carpet. And you can see I had to tape the whole perimeter on this because you don't want to get any glue on that binding. Try and keep it nice and clean. So now I'm just letting solvents evaporate out of it, and we'll slide it into place. I may get the heat gun ready because in some areas where it's curving, I may add some heat to it, and that way we can try and get it to stretch a little bit. So I'll probably get the cord out there and the heat gun ready to roll. All right, got the bulk of this center section in. There we go. I had forgot, if you look back in the video, I didn't cut any of the holes for the shifter. So I got them in there now, and for the seat belt back here on the back side. So I had to cut those after I got started gluing it in. But it'd been better to do that a little bit ahead of time, but that's all right. I got them in there. And actually, they're a little more accurate maybe doing them now. So I knew exactly where it was gonna land. So now what we got is these little wings up here on the front end are kind of standing up a little bit. Not too worried about it, but over there it's pretty close to the gas pedal. So I'm gonna do next, kind of come in here and hand glue this down a little bit tighter. In the back, I think we're doing pretty good. Like that's gonna all lay down real nice. It's tucked in there pretty good. But as you come to the front, it's kind of flared, real wide up front, you know, kind of following the contour of the transmission. And so it's sticking up a little bit there in the front. So I just got to tape that off, hand glue it, and then we'll stick it down. All right, I got the front edge of this passenger side centerpiece taped up. So there we go. I'm just taping that all up so I can get in here and glue. And then basically what we're going to do is flip this up right here in this corner, and we're going to get more glue down on that carpet. And then we're going to glue these two together so it sticks down and it's not hanging up in the air like that. And then once we do this side, we'll let it flash, and then we'll get over and hit the other side. We'll add a little heat to it when we go stick it down. Alright, so I came in here with a brush. I basically flipped this back, brushed the back side of the carpet, and then I brushed the top side of the carpet right along that tape line. Now I'm just going to let that flash for a little while, and then we'll peel the tape back, get that out of the way, and then we'll add some heat to this carpet, and then we'll slowly place it down and glue it down, and we'll see how she sets up. Alright, I got this side glued down. Heated it up pretty good with the heat gun, and then stuck it down. Seems like it's holding pretty good. Alright, now over on the driver's side, we got this all taped off, just inside. Now we're going to flip it up, get some glue on here, and then we'll be able to heat it up, stick it down. Alright, got the carpet in. Lighting's not the best on this side right now. Alright, it's been a long day. Been working on this thing for a while. Dan came over and helped me out a bunch. So here's how she's looking now. So we got the seat back in it. We got the brand new seat belts all in it. We got the shifter mounted up there. And it just came together real nice. Got the sill plates on it. Little windlace right there. So, but this really, the carpet turned out really nice.